Good morning. I'm Trinity Chavez. It is Wednesday, February 14th. Happy Valentine's Day to all of you from us here at the New York Stock Exchange. And there's plenty of love to go around here on the corner of Wall and Broad Streets in Lower Manhattan. And we have an action-packed show for you this morning that is to make sure to make your heart flutter. And as many as you know, it's Valentine's Day, and it's a holiday dedicated to love and affection. And it's also a day when people express their feelings to their loved ones, typically through gestures like giving cards, flowers, chocolates, or other gifts. Yeah, including jewelry. So over the next hour on NYC TV Live, we're going to explore the state of luxury retail, the role our parent company ICE plays in the cocoa supply chain, and the CEO of gold producer Alamos Gold will join us to break down how the demand for precious metal on Valentine's Day is impacting the market. And of course, we'll take you through the biggest moment of each morning, which is opening up the U.S. equity markets when New York Cares rings the opening bell. The nonprofit organization, founded in 1987, partners with more than 400 schools, 150 corporations, and tens of thousands of individuals every single year to organize food drives, tutor students, lead annual coat drives, and so much more. And to honor the occasion, we have the organization's branding all over this iconic building, including the cubes behind me above the trading floor. And at 9:30 a.m. Eastern Time, New York Cares will open up the U.S. equity markets for the day. Now, one major event that also happened here at the exchange very recently was the IPO Summit. Bonnie Hun, the head of U.S. capital markets for the NYSE and key stakeholder of the summit, joined me on NYC TV Live as the event was kicking off. She emphasized how this year's event embraced optimism with the belief that this year's IPO market will be more robust compared to recent years. Let's take a look at some of those highlights. The IPO Summit here at the New York Stock Exchange is redefining the game with a lineup that's unlike any other. We're bringing together the titans of the business world with 675 private companies from New York to San Francisco. The event embracing global diversity featuring 92 international companies representing 27 countries.
I think it's so important to bring folks together who are thinking about going through the IPO process with those who have been through it before.
3 Ps: preparation, planning, and purpose. Make sure you really prepare properly and you plan very thoughtfully, and what's your business purpose in going public.
It's a wonderful gathering, and being able to network with different members and sharing our experiences and helping them in their journey as they go ahead.
Not knowing anything about going public, there was a fear of unknown. Coming here, I'm feeling much more comfortable.
It's very important to be with peers who have been through the process before so that we can also be on that journey. It's about the people, it's about the process. Have fun on the journey.
And one item almost everyone enjoys on Valentine's Day is, well, it's chocolate. I know I enjoy it. Our parent company ICE plays a big role when it comes to Valentine's Day, specifically with cocoa. ICE's cocoa contract is the world benchmark for the global cocoa market, and the contract prices the physical delivery of exchange-grade product from a variety of African, Asian, Central, and South American origins to any of the 5 U.S. delivery ports. Joining me now to talk more about this is the president of ICE Futures US, Jen Ilkew. Good morning, Jen.
Good morning, Trinity. Thanks so much for having us
Yeah,
here.
no, it's so great to have you join us again. Now, before we really get into cocoa, could you really dive into ICE Futures business and, the suite of soft commodities?
Yeah, so actually, I think the last time we met was a couple weeks ago when we did the American Cotton Shippers Association.
Yeah.
That was an incredible centennial event and so much fun, but it also sort of highlights all the different products that ICE Futures US does. So on the soft sides, it's coffee, sugar, cocoa, cotton, orange juice, and canola. But it's not just ICE Futures US. Our ICE products on the futures side globally, and the ICE business touches everything that people do all over the world on a day-to-day basis, from walking in your house to turning on the heat, turning on the lights, pouring your first cup of coffee in the morning, making a cake for your child's birthday, all the way through buying your first house and getting a mortgage. We touch all of that. And one of the interesting things is it really has shown in our earnings. Last week we had our earnings call, and I think we're at the 18th year of increased revenue all the way through. So we've done really well, and it's been amazing. And our agricultural suite of contracts has done fantastic this year. And even last week we hit a high in our canola contracts. Over 92,000 contracts traded for the day.
Wow.
It was great. Yeah.
What do you think is driving the surge? I mean, I'm seeing, chocolate prices are up at the grocery store. Cocoa, like you said, is on the rise. What's driving this surge and increase?
Oh, you're absolutely right. So even actually, just a little story. My daughter has Valentine's Day at school today. Last year, we were getting these sort of big Hershey's Kisses for about $2 they were giving to everyone. I went to the supermarket, and now they're $6 each or something, so it's gone up an incredible amount. What it really sits is just demand supply. It's economics 101. Supply is going down, demand is still high, so all of that has to sort of match up, and that you get the increase in prices. And when it comes to supply, probably the biggest one is weather. So we have the El Nino weather pattern, which happens sort of every 2 to 7 years. That is causing it to be wet in places where it should be dry, and dry when places are supposed to be wet. So whether you're in Ghana, Venezuela, whether you're in Vietnam, the weather patterns are completely all over the place. So that's causing issues with the cocoa supply.
Let's talk more about the cocoa supply. Tell us exactly how, ICE's contracts are integrated into this. Can you elaborate more on that point?
Yeah, so when you either have producers, you have the trading houses in between, whether you have the actual people who are growing the cocoa, for them, they need to worry about the price of what cocoa is going to be, because they either have to sell it, they have to buy it and make chocolate, or they're selling it from one and then selling it on to someone else. That price is incredibly important to their bottom line. So when they start looking at it, they come to the futures markets to say, we want to manage our risk. We want to hedge our prices. They come to us and they want to sort of smooth out their income over time.
And cocoa has a long history here at the exchange. Tell me more about that.
Oh yeah, so that's probably the most exciting part. So actually the New York
literally lights out when you talk about it.
Really, so the New York Cocoa Exchange, it started in 1925 in a building that's actually down the street from here.
Amazing.
And the first time I saw it was probably about 20 years ago. My old boss, I was here in New York with him from the NYMEX, and he took me around to walk around and see the New York Cotton Exchange building, the New York Cocoa Exchange building, and those had actually amalgamated to become the NYBOT. And then in 2007, ICE bought the NYBOT, and that became ICE Futures US. And I don't think ever 20 years ago, when I was walking around, I just started in the markets, I would ever be president of this exchange.
Oh my
So
goodness.
it's really hugely historical.
And tell me about what you're most excited for. Now it's a new year. It's February 2024. What are you looking forward to most?
I think when it comes to everything that we're doing, it's really watching these agricultural contracts and how they're growing. And actually, the canola markets in Canada really interest me. I'm Canadian, so I have sort of a special part in my heart to try to see those develop and grow. And we're expanding. There's not just canola being used for canola, but also for biodiesel as well. So it's looking very much into our energy markets.
Well, thank you so much, Jen,
it's
for
been
joining
wonderful.
us today. And happy Valentine's Day.
Thank you. Happy Valentine's Day. Great to be here.
Bye. Now, the CEO of Produce Pay will join me next to continue this conversation, specifically on the agriculture landscape. But first, 200 years of sales professionals representing 37 teams travel to the New York Stock Exchange for ICE's two-day sales kickoff in January. Let's check it out.
We're here celebrating Sales Kickoff 2024. This year's theme was really focused on intent, purpose, and team.
This is super exciting to be back at the New York Stock Exchange.
The energy in the room has been amazing. What I'm taking away from this is there's a lot to do and amazing team to do it with, and we're getting all the tools that we need to make it happen.
We're here from all over the business, different departments, different geographies.
A sales organization is often focused on individuals, and it's really important that we see that working together as teams is going to make us all successful.
Knowing our clients even better, knowing them personally, knowing them professionally, knowing what they invest in with their strategies for growth. We can support that, and that's our superpower.
This year, we're going to have a really clear direction and sense of purpose in terms of what we want to deliver across the sales team and also the marketing team. Really sort of capitalize on all these phenomenally interesting trends that are going on across the market at the moment.
The most important part of this event is all the team building, the cross-selling that we will push into 2024.
Being able to come together as a group and truly give the right solutions to our clients will just make us so much more successful.
Intent, purpose, and team give us a great compass of how we interact internally, externally, and how we spend our days as individuals making those needed contributions.
Joining me now is Pat McCullough, the CEO of Produce Pay. Good morning, Pat.
Happy Valentine's Day, Trinity.
It's great to have you. Now, I just want to give our viewers a little background. For those who may not know, can you take us through how Produce Pay distinguishes itself from its competitors, first of all?
Sure. What we're trying to accomplish is bringing rare capital to farmers, especially in emerging markets, but also in the United States and Western Europe. We also deliver technology, agronomists in the field to ensure quality investment in the farm goes as planned.
Now, what are some of the biggest challenges the agriculture sector is facing, and what sort of solutions is Produce Pay providing to help?
Yeah, price volatility is number one, and that stems from weather unpredictability, global supply and demand changing. It's the supply side of produce that's the big challenge. We're trying to bring structured finance to the produce farming sector so that we create price stability for the benefit of farms and ultimately the U.S. consumer.
Now, according to your company, 60% of the fresh produce supply chain is wasted in the form of economic value and food loss. Produce Pay just raised $38 million in fresh funding. How will this go towards solving this problem?
Yeah, it's heartbreaking. 40% of harvested produce actually is wasted. It perishes before it's consumed or processed. Additionally, the supply chain's inefficient, so you get another 20% to get to that 60. By raising capital, both equity for our balance sheet, but also ABL debt for our farmers, we're able to start to solidify supply chains, start to solidify predictable commerce patterns so that their sustainability is protected. Unfortunately, we see too many farms not making it in 2024, and it's a big crisis for global food supply as we look forward to 2050.
And can you elaborate on how this raise is going toward economic challenges as well?
Yeah, so this raise specifically is for our balance sheet. So this was a very successful equity raise. We're oversubscribed. We're still closing, in fact, beyond what we've announced. A nice up round for us that reflects our growth over the past 2 years. This solidifies us as a safe haven to bring ABL capacity and real debt through to farms. So this just buttresses our balance sheet to ensure that we are a credible and safe place to deliver hundreds of millions of capital to the world's farms.
Pat, tell me about what are some of the newer industry headlines and trends that viewers should be aware of?
You know, we're most worried about climate change. We're also very worried about the social impacts on farming. You know, it's definitely a situation where weather patterns continue to deteriorate, causing supply shortages, which impacts ongoing pricing. We're looking at the impact part of both, climate offsets, climate credits, water restoration units, human rights in the field. These are things that we monitor very closely. We have the World Bank as one of our investors. So these are really paramount issues, especially when you get into emerging markets with farms that are under stress from things like labor cost increases, input cost increases, and maybe even currency valuing against the dollar. Most produce is sold in USD.
Now tell me about some of the biggest challenges you're looking to spearhead this year come 2024. Well, we're in 2024, so what are your priorities right now?
Yeah, the most important retail buying criteria is surety of supply. Retailers are looking for 52-week supply. So that means Produce Pay has to be present in every large farming nation in the world. So to globally expand into 6 continents is a challenge. And then to manage the price volatility in our industry is a challenge. So we're focused on connecting the farm directly to end retail to support U.S., European consumers with price stability.
Well, thank you so much, Pat. I really appreciate all of that insight and you joining us on our show today.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Now, switching gears a little bit, we certainly love chocolate on Valentine's Day, but something else we love is celebrating IPOs. Just this month alone, the exchange has celebrated several high-profile debuts here at the NYSE. Amer Sports, the company behind some of today's most popular sports brands like Wilson, Atomic, and Louisville Slugger, they kicked off February by ringing the opening bell. Amer Sports NYSE's debut is the biggest IPO of 2024 so far. So let's take you back to that moment.
When you're a sports fan, you don't just notice the athlete, you notice the uniform. And that is why we are so excited to welcome Amer Sports to our community. You outfit some of the greats. You are truly elevating the world through sports.
It's my pleasure to greet you today from the center of the U.S. capital markets here at the New York Stock Exchange. I want to extend my deep thanks and congratulations to all of you. Your dedication and hard work as a team show that we are better together. Together, we have an exciting future ahead. So let's continue our journey by standing true to who we are, working as one team, aiming for excellence.
But we are just getting started here. The very next day, Alto Neuroscience and clinical stage biopharmaceutical company that is leveraging neurobiology to develop personalized and highly effective treatment options for mental health, listed here at the NYSE. And after ringing the opening bell, CEO Dr. Amit Etkin told me that this IPO is providing fuel for their fire to pursue their mission because patients are waiting. Here's some of the best moments from that day.
So today is a day of celebration. Our stock will begin trading. It's a day of celebrating our team, our mission, our potential, and doing it in one of the most wonderful and iconic places in the world.
Thank you for taking all of your talents to address this challenge that so many millions of people deal with every single day. You are truly a brilliant group of entrepreneurs.
The NYSE has been a wonderful partner in all of this. Just the feeling here of bringing all of us together are going to go a huge way for an extremely long time. Thank you.
But we're not done yet. Less than a week ago, discount retailer Tiendas 3B brought even more excitement to the exchange when it rang the opening bell and started trading. Tiendas 3B, which operates more than 2,200 supermarket chains across Mexico, became the 12th Mexican-based issuer to list here at the NYSE. Let's take a look.
Bonito y barato dia a NYSE. It is our honor to welcome you all to the NYSE community. What an amazing business you all have built.
I started my career right across the street, and I had a very nice view for many years of the New York Stock Exchange. Quite emotional for me to be here inside this room today. Nothing would have been possible here without the amazing team at Tiendas 3B and the support of their families. Without supportive families and the love and caring they share with us every day, we wouldn't have made it. It's been a journey getting here, but this is the first step in another journey, and this is going to be a great company on the exchange.
Now we are just a few moments away from ringing the opening bell, but first, here's a word from our parent company, ICE.
Climate events are rising in frequency and severity. Increasingly, climate risk impacts investment risk. To help integrate these risks, the ICE Climate Transition Analytics tool generates analytics to identify, assess, and report climate factors in portfolios and loan books. Upload a portfolio to generate an array of climate analytics. Access carbon footprinting analysis, avoided emissions data, and Scope 3 emissions data. Conduct net zero analysis. Compare portfolio and benchmark pathways. Check portfolio's progress towards stated decarbonization targets. Conduct scenario alignment. Analyze portfolio implied temperature rise score and assess trajectory against chosen climate scenarios. Calculate temperature scores using the Science-Based Targets Initiative aligned approach. Access stranded assets data and analyze fossil fuel reserves footprint and country-level exposure. Generate and customize powerful reports, including TCFD-aligned reports that can help you meet your regulatory and stakeholder requirements. Access ICE's Climate Transition Analytics and more today.
When you think of investment risk, do you consider climate risk? Changing weather patterns are impacting the way we live and the value of businesses, large and small. This can mean disruption to supply chains, changing demand for products, and shifting regulation. What does this mean for your business, your clients, and your investments? ICE offers data and markets that can provide critical insight. Manage your climate risk with ICE.
Connecting to opportunity is just part of the hustle.
Opportunity is using data to create a competitive advantage.
It's raising capital to help companies change the world.
It's making complicated financial concepts seem simple.
Opportunity is making the dream of home ownership a reality.
Writing new rules and redefining the game.
And driving the world forward to a greener energy future.
Opportunity is setting a goal.
And charting a course to get there.
Sometimes the only thing standing between you and opportunity is someone who can make the connection.
At ICE, we connect people to opportunity.
All right, we are going to get images in just a minute of the team making their way to the Distinguished Guest Book. Well, we will see the executives sign their name. There they are right there, right below the Bell podium in front of CNBC's set. They are going to start posing for photographs with our in-house photography team here at the NYSC. They're going to sign the Distinguished Guest Book right before making their way up the secret staircase behind Jim Cramer's set where he films Mad Money, and then they're going to make their way up to the Bell podium where they will open up the U.S. equity markets, which after that point they will sign the wall that we have as you make your way down back onto the trading floor, which I will be showing you later when I make my way down to the trading floor. But let's get back to Valentine's Day. Something else that warms our hearts is events hosted around the exchange to promote good causes. So last week, Deep Blue and its CEO, Laura Correnti, rang the closing bell to celebrate the 38th annual National Girls and Women's in Sports Day. And the day recognizes student athletes, champion athletes, coaches, administrators, and lawmakers committed to providing equitable access to sports for all girls and women. National Girls and Women's Sports Day is powered by the Women's Sports Foundation, an organization that will be celebrating its 50th anniversary later this year. And it has a fascinating origin story. The foundation was actually founded by tennis great Billie Jean King in 1974, shortly after the enactment of Title IX. For you sports trivia fans, this is about 1 year after King defeated former #1 ranked men's tennis player Bobby Riggs in the famous Battle of the Sexes match. King took $5,000 of the winnings from that match to launch the Women's Sports Foundation, which aims to help women and girls seek their full potential in sports and in life. Here are some of the biggest moments from our National Girls and Women's in Sports Day celebration. Let's take a look.
I
I think it's pretty safe to say that this is not a moment, it is a movement, and today is part of that movement. I cannot think of a better way to celebrate Girls and Women in Sports Day than celebrating the launch of Deep Blue Sports and Entertainment at the New York Stock Exchange. As National Girls and Women's Sport Day has evolved to recognize all female athletes who have had the courage to follow their dreams and to stand tall in adversity, we are here because the work continues. And as evidenced by these young women standing next to me, it must continue. And as we ring the New York Stock Exchange closing bell today, may it be heard across the country and the world that women's sports isn't just having a moment, it is the moment.
Now, the Exchange doesn't only cover the events inside this iconic building. I actually went to my hometown of Las Vegas, Nevada in January to cover the 2024 Consumer Electronics Show, or CES, as many of you know it as. 60% of Fortune 500 participated in the event, including 3M, which trades on the New York Stock Exchange under the ticker symbol MMM. From automotive, client tech, and electronics, 3M is working to build a better tomorrow through innovative solutions and first-in-class material science. We're going to find out how on this episode of Taking Stock. You're here at CES. I mean, this installation is incredible. Let's talk about some of the most exciting products you're showcasing.
3M, at our heart, we're a material science company, and what we're showing here at CES is how we're actively building for tomorrow with our inventions, with our technology.
You've been working together with 3M for about 4 years now. You've been building this product that you're debuting here at CES. Let's talk about it.
So this is the world's first self-powered hearing protector. This hearing protector has my solar cell, called Powerful, here on the top. This will allow you to harvest any light, indoor lights, outdoor light, shade, when it's dusty, all kinds of lights, and charge the battery. This means we're saving, together with 3M, millions and millions of batteries over the lifetime of the product.
Now, as a customer of 3M, let's talk about the products that you utilize most.
What we do with Voltaire is that we develop solar panels with application in agriculture.
These right
like
here?
The one here,
Okay.
exactly. In the agricultural sector, light is very important for the crops to grow. If you take away light, you're going to take away some of the yield of the crops. What we do with 3M and the way we partner with 3M is that we develop a solar solution specifically tailored for the needs of the crops. So we use the filter from 3M to separate the light coming from the sun. The part of the light that is necessary for the growth of the crops goes through. What is not used by photosynthesis is taken out and transformed into renewable energy. It's an entirely new opportunity of how to approach energy in the agricultural space.
Wow, so it's really making the world a better place.
Hopefully, yes.
What are you most excited about this year?
Changing the narrative in people's minds about what 3M is as a company. We love our Post-it notes, we love our command hooks and our Scotch tape, but we're also that material science that helps to power these everyday devices, that helps to power your life. And it's so fun when that light bulb goes off for people and say, I had no idea 3M did that.
New York Cares is getting set to kick off what will be another very busy session on Wall Street. And actually, you could probably hear them as we speak. Investors are breaking down January's hot inflation report. Plenty of more companies are set to report earnings, and more economic data is hitting a variety of different sectors like retail and housing, and they're on tap later this week. We'll be speaking to an NYC equity trader in just a little while about what will move the markets over the course of the week and also what we can look out for today. But again, the executive team of New York Cares is getting ready to ring the opening bell, opening up the U.S. equity markets, and let's get some pictures of those as I tell you what's happening on the bell podium. So around 100 million people could be tuning in, watching who is ringing the opening bell on any given days. And we're going to get glimpses of them right now. They're going to hold their finger on that bell for about 15 seconds. And now we're about 8 seconds out. So we're going to turn it over to them. Listen in, and I'll be right back. you have it. New York Cares just rang the opening bell, and we'll be speaking to the organization's executive director in just a little while. And right now they are getting their photo opportunity as they just open up the U.S. equity markets. But again, we'll speak more about that when we meet them on the floor in a little bit. Now, Valentine's Day is typically full of flowers and chocolate and jewelry, but when it comes to gold, the precious metal is considered as an inflation hedge, something critical as the Fed tries to fight inflation. Joining me now to talk more about this is the CEO of North American gold producer Alamos Gold, John McCluskey. Good morning, John.
Good morning.
It's great to have you. Now, I want to talk to you about the price of gold. It climbed more than $2,000 and announced last week in November. How has the recent economic landscape impacted your business?
Well, obviously, when the gold price goes up, that's great for our business. Gold's been in an uptrend. If you look at the curve, it's been in an uptrend now for about 9 or 10 years. You could even go back further and say it's been moving higher since it reached its lows in the early 2000s. But as far as trying to look at gold on a monthly or even an annual basis, it's very difficult to try to make a trend out of that, because it's a commodity that really turns and trades on long-term cycles.
Now, your company has seen rapid growth. Alamos is valued north of $4 billion and has been trading here at the NYSE for over a decade under the ticker symbol AGI. How are you looking to further expand in 2024?
Well, we've got a couple of really exciting discoveries underway, and that's really driving our valuation. On top of that, we've grown production over the last 3 years, and it will continue to grow as we expand our mining operations and add new ones. So we're currently producing 500,000 ounces of gold a year, thereabouts. And over the next couple of years, as operations expand, we'll take that to about 800,000 ounces of gold a year. So that's really the driving force for us.
Now, your company operates several mines in North America as a part of its business. What efforts is Alamos Gold making when it comes to sustainability, and what should stakeholders know?
Well, sustainability has been a cornerstone of the mining industry really for decades, and particularly for gold mining. One of the things that I maintain is that unless you're thinking long term, I don't think it's really it's really all that meaningful to talk about sustainability. So we tend to make investments for the long term. We invest in exploration in particular because we need to have enough reserves in front of us in order to make those long-term plans. And when you're doing that, then you can start to make the capital investments that start to make a difference. In our case, for example, we've invested close to $1 billion in the last few years, putting in shafts at our operation, which means we took away trucks running on diesel fuel and we replaced them with a shaft system which effectively operates off of the grid. And in Ontario, where we're running those mines, that effectively means hydroelectric power. So that's probably the most meaningful way we can go about reducing our carbon footprint. For example, we put a lot of effort into recycling water. Everything we can do effectively to minimize our carbon footprint and protect the environment, we're doing that.
Now, we've made it through another holiday season, including gift giving and holidays like Christmas and Valentine's Day. How does increased demand for gold during these times impact what Alamos Gold does?
Well, there's often said, there's two trades going on in gold. There's the fear trade and the love trade. Fear trade, that's really what drives investment, hedging against inflation, for example, trying to offset political risk. The love trade is one that we talk less about in North America, but it really accounts for about 55% of annual gold consumption. It's gold is purchased by the jewelry industry, and ultimately it's a very high value consumer product. The wonderful thing about gold is that when you think about all the gold that's ever been produced, most of it is still being used. It's either sitting in vaults where banks use it as reserves, or people have it on their fingers or on their earrings or on necklaces and so forth. It's it's one of these products that it doesn't really have a shelf life. It basically lasts on and on. These are, jewelry, for example, these are gifts that are often given down to the next generation and sort of valued over time.
Valued over time. Well, thank you so much, John, for joining me.
It's been a pleasure.
Now, something else that people love is their pets. One company, Elanco, has been on a mission for 70 years to improve the health of animals through innovative products and services for pets and farm animals around the world. Judy Shaw recently spoke with Jeff Simmons, the president and CEO of Elanco, about the company's big goals this year and what's to come. Let's check it out.
Joining me today on NYSE Floor Talk is Jeff Simmons. He is president and CEO at Elanco. Jeff, it's wonderful to have you here. Thanks for joining me.
Great to be here, Judy. Thank you. Thanks for the opportunity.
My pleasure. So now, Jeff, you delivered 3 consecutive quarters of improved performance and project continued growth in 2024. So tell me, how is Elanco approaching 2024, and what are the key components to your growth strategy?
Yeah, a lot of excitement in the company. It's our 70th year as a company. Been the longest standing brand in front of farmers and pet owners for 7 decades. And I'd start, Judy, we're looking at probably the most exciting pipeline, 6 blockbusters. That's over 100 million in animal health. Over the next 2 years, we're bringing to the market. This sequential improvement has led to a third quarter constant currency growth. We guided for growth in the fourth quarter. We're guiding for growth in 2024, driven a lot by some of our existing innovation, and then just better cash conversion overall. So, I think it gets back innovation, growth, and cash. That's going to create the momentum going into 2024.
So you have been talking about innovation and your pipeline. Tell me about the blockbusters you've been talking about for the first half of the year.
Yeah, so pets and farm animal, 4 on the pet side, 2 on the farm animal. First, I just came from Orlando, North America Vet Show. We launched last year our first monoclonal antibody for canine parvovirus. And that's 800 to 900 puppies a day, Judy, get this parvovirus. And it's a deadly virus that over 90%, if left untreated, do not survive. And so we've got an intervention with this antibody virus that works very well. And we signed a pledge with the veterinarians across this country to save 1 million puppies by the end of the decade. So that's the first one, our first monoclonal antibody, really a new market and the first time treatment for the deadliest virus in puppies. The other one's one of the fastest growing markets, derm. It's kind of why do people take pets to the market? The top reason is an itching dog. It's a $1.2 billion market, growing double digit, and vets don't have a lot of alternatives. We're bringing Zenrelia, a JAK1 inhibitor. It's a differentiated asset entering that market. We've got a path for an FDA approval first half of this year. Also, first path to an approval in the first half of this year is Credelio Quattro, going into the largest market, $6.5 billion market, is the famous parasiticide market, flea, tick, heartworm. And Credelio Quattro has the broadest coverage. So derm, parasiticides, actually another derm product next year. Those are the 4 pet side. And then on the farm animal side, this whole area of livestock sustainability, being able to bring products to dairy and beef producers to reduce footprint and create added value.
Mm-hmm. Now, you're also pioneering a frontier market with the recently announced collaboration on creating the first ever livestock carbon inset marketplace. So tell me about that. What's your contribution to that?
Yeah, so we believe that, as you look at kind of the future, livestock sustainability is the next $1 to $2 billion animal health market. And what it really is we're bringing Bovaer, another product with a path to a first half 24 approval. This will be a feed additive for dairy farmers, and it'll actually reduce methane or footprint by 30%. And what that does is immediately these CPG dairy companies can reduce their Scope 3 emissions. They can appeal to the next generation of consumers that are wanting this environmental. They improve their reputational, emphasis on their brand, and all that value actually converts into an added income stream to dairy farmers in the U.S. So Bovaer will reduce the footprint 30%, probably the biggest reduction on one measure ever. And cows can be part of the environmental solution, and we believe that's the case. So animal health will converge with environmental health. So great time in Elanco. As we say in Elanco, making animals' lives better makes life better, and the next 2 years will be definitely the most historical transformational in our company history.
Well, definitely amazing things happening at Elanco. And I thank you for joining me. Great to have you on Floor Talk today.
Great to be here, Judy. Thank you for the opportunity.
I am joined now with Saprit Saluja, Executive Director of New York Cares. Congratulations, you just rang the opening bell. How are you feeling?
Oh my gosh, so amazing to have seen it on TV so many times. So many companies celebrate it. It's amazing to have the opportunity to celebrate New York Cares today.
Tell me about the significance behind that, having New York Cares here ringing the opening bell, being here at the New York Stock Exchange on Valentine's Day. Tell me about the significance in this.
Well, it's pretty amazing. New York Cares has been the go-to in New York City for activism and getting involved in volunteering since 1987. And so to be able to be here today on Valentine's Day, like you said, we're also releasing our new logo, our first really big rebrand in so many years, which is exciting. And also this month is Leap Day. 2024 is a leap year, and so we're really calling on all New Yorkers, asking them, what are you going to do with your extra day?
Now, I want to talk to you more about your initiatives, because New York Cares helps thousands of individuals. You help hundreds of organizations, companies, corporations. Tell me about some of your new initiatives and what you're most excited about for 2024.
Well, I'm really excited about Leap Day. We all have an extra day this year, and we're really getting out there and talking to New Yorkers and getting them excited about spending that extra day doing something for our city. We're also closing out our 35th annual coat drive, where New Yorkers really got in the spirit this year, and nearly 70,000 coats have been donated and distributed across the 5 boroughs of New York, which is pretty amazing.
That is incredible. Now, let's talk more about this year. It just started. It's February now. What are some of your personal goals that you want to achieve?
Well, I think that this is the year to really take stock. You know, we're in another phase coming out of the pandemic. What matters? How do we spend our time? How do we want to build thriving communities? And for us, there's also going to be a really big focus on intergenerational opportunities to volunteer. What does it mean for young people, people at different stages of life, our senior citizens to all come together to do good in the city and really make a difference?
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for joining me today, and congratulations. I'll let you join your team.
Thank you so much for having us. Amazing.
Take care. All right, I'm now going to throw it to my colleague Judy Shaw, who spoke with Tom Hale. We'll be right back.
Joining me today on NYSE Floor Talk is Tom Hale. He is CEO at Aura Health. Tom, it is fabulous to have you here. Thanks for joining me on Floor Talk today.
Thanks, Judy. I'm so stoked to be here.
All right. So, Tom, you joined Aura as CEO in 2021. Tell me, why did you choose to join the company, and what are you most proud of accomplishing up to this point?
Well, it's funny. I actually am a user of the product. I've been a champion sleeper my entire life. But in the fall of 21, between COVID and business stress and family stress, I started not sleeping. So I started researching a product, and I found Aura. And within a matter of a few short weeks, I'd really fixed my sleep issues. And frankly, it felt to me like I was coming out of a black and white movie into a full Technicolor, experience. It was amazing. Sleep is such an impact on my life. And since then, I've had a lot of time to work with the company. And some of the things I'm most proud of are the impacts that we've had on people's lives. So, for example, there's a guy, Dave. He's in his late 50s, very fit guy, and he learned that he had asymptomatic atrial fibrillation from the product, and it literally saved his life. He went into a doctor. They're like, "Thank God you came in." There's other stories too. There's a young woman named Felicity, and she got pregnant. She tracked her cycle using the Aura Ring, which is one of the things that it does. And she was able to get pregnant after trying for many months. In a matter of months, she was able to get pregnant. And she attributes her pregnancy to the Aura Ring. So having an impact on people's lives, that's what really gets me going about this company.
Now, you recently announced that you have 600 plus partner integrations. So tell me, what does it mean to build a partnership ecosystem, and how do you see this evolving in the future?
Yeah, well, think about health. There's so many different aspects to it. There's fitness, there's diet, there's sleep, there's all the things you might do and all the choices you might make to make a really good, healthy set of habits. And frankly, we can't cover all of them. So for example, if you want to think about intermittent fasting as part of your strategy for health, there's an app for that. It's called Zero. Well, it's integrated with Aura so that it understands your sleep, it understands your exercise, it understands your heart rate. And that way, the experience that you're having with an app is really informed by your personal biometrics. And we do that across 600 different partners. So whether it's metabolic health, continuous glucose management with something like a Veri or a January AI, or any number of apps that help you track your glucose, or maybe it's exercise, maybe it's Strava or Equinox that we're partnered with that's helping you understand how your fitness regime is affecting your physical biometrics. So having a partnership ecosystem lets us treat an entire universe of healthy habits and choices that you might make to make for a healthy lifestyle.
Well, you seem pretty excited about these partnerships.
I am.
So tell me, are there any others that you want to highlight?
Well, there's one that's really critical. It's exciting because it's an FDA cleared application for contraception. And the application is called Natural Cycles. And most people don't know this, but your temperature as a woman changes over the course of your cycle and is very predictive of where you are in your cycle. Your cycle goes through various phases. So for example, the application, Natural Cycles, using temperature can say, this is a really good time for you to try and conceive, or really, you should not have intercourse right now because you will definitely get pregnant. And that's a really powerful thing because a lot of young women, they don't want to use hormonal contraception anymore. They don't want the chemicals going to their body. They don't want to use a surgical contraceptive. They'd like to use something that is really natural, really healthy, and really in tune with their body. And so between Oura Ring, which is tracking your temperature overnight incredibly accurately, no effort, no muss, no fuss, and this digital FDA cleared Natural Cycles, it's an amazing partnership that really is appealing for young women.
Mm-hmm. Now, also, you recently announced that Oura Ring is covered by FSA and HSA. So why did you decide to take this step?
Well, we've always had a vision that Oura could be part of someone's health journey. And whether that's self-guided or guided by a doctor, honestly, we just want people to understand that they can really have a lot of agency in their health journey. And one of the ways that we do this is we make it accessible to people who are using funds for health that are tax enabled. So your HSA funds, your FSA funds, you're basically getting those pre-tax dollars in those accounts, and then you can use them to buy things that help you. So we're excited to say that Oura Ring is now the wearable, the only consumer wearable that is HSA, FSA eligible. So you can use those funds to support that. And you can actually go to our site today. You have a credit card that is your HSA or FSA credit card that holds those funds, and you can just check out right there online on auraring.com to buy an Oura Ring and to get going with your health journey using HSA or FSA funds.
All right, and finally, Tom, tell me, what can we look forward to from Oura in 2024?
Oh my God, we have so many exciting things coming in 2024. I mean, we've been really focused on stress. I mean, you and I were just talking about that. So stress is something that we really think is it's hard for people to avoid. Everyone gets stressed. Everyone has stress between work and family and life. One of the ways we want to help people is by helping them understand how they can build resilience for stress. What are the steps they can take? And we want to do for resilience and stress what we did for sleep, which was to make it visible and understandable, and then to understand what behaviors either create stress or reduce stress for you. That's one big part of it. The second thing we want to focus on is heart health. You know, heart's number one killer. Heart attack is the number one killer in people around the world. And we want to make sure that people have a really good picture of their heart health and understanding of what behaviors they can do to improve their heart health. So that's something you can look forward to in 2024 from Oura.
All right, well, definitely lots to look forward to. And you have your Oura rings on.
I do. I've got the new brushed titanium. It's a really beautiful finish. And so that's something interesting about Oura. It's a health tracker, maybe a really almost as clinical grade medical device, even though it's not a medical device according to the FDA, but it's also something that looks good and that you can fit it into your lifestyle. And with that 7-day battery life, it's not another digital mouth for you to feed. You just put it on, wear it, and then you'll be tracked and healthy in no time.
All right. Well, Tom, it's been wonderful to talk with you. Thanks for joining me on Floor Talk.
Thanks, Judy. Appreciate it.
I am joined now with Jonathan Corpina. He is the Senior Managing Partner for Meridian Equity Partners. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, you know, I want to jump right into it because, you know, we saw the Dow perform the worst day in about 2 years, dropping nearly 800 points. Yeah. I mean, how are we rebounding today? What are we seeing now that the markets are open?
So listen, that's okay, right? It's healthy for the market. We can't have consistent one-way markets go up or down. So having this kind of turn in the market was somewhat healthy for our markets. What I think what we saw there was the economic data CPI came out. It wasn't really as much as the number itself, it's more of the impact. What is that going to make the Fed do, right? So we've had this whole conversation about the Fed pulling back rates, when that's going to happen, how long is it going to take, how many steps is it going to be involved in there. I think the data that we got yesterday tried tried to and probably changed our narrative of might happen sooner than later as opposed to kicking the can down the road. I think that's why we saw that spook in the market yesterday. But what we're seeing today has kind of the dust has settled somewhat at the end of the trading session on yesterday. We saw the buyers come back into this market and start buying them off the lows. We had a nice small rally into the close, and we're seeing that continue today. So I think kind of like, again, the dust has settled. Everyone's taken a deep breath and now readjusting how they're going to play the next few months.
Now, Jerome Powell said that on more than one occasion that a rate cut in March could actually be unlikely. I mean, what's your takeaway on here? Like, what do you think investors should be anticipating at this point?
So I think as we get closer to that March date, I'm going to stick with the same path that we're not going to get a cut probably till June. The data yesterday might force the Fed's hand, but I think as the Fed has always said, they're going to remain data dependent. We have a lot of data that continues to come out this week. We're going to have more data that comes out throughout the month. And then you throw in any geopolitical issues that are associated there too. The Fed's going to have a lot of information to make this decision. I don't think the number from yesterday is going to particularly force their hand. They're going to have to really digest more information that comes out. And I think the way the market reacted yesterday, and as we're seeing the rebound again today, I think that's going to give the Fed a little bit more ammunition to themselves to hold back until June.
And we have a lot to look out for, right? We have retail sales, we have consumer sentiment, we have housing data coming out. I mean, what do you think are going to be the biggest trends that we're going to see? What are we anticipating with this data?
Yes, I think with all that data, it kind of all ties into each other. We're hoping to see that consumers are spending more money as they're trying to manage these higher prices. As we've gotten out of the holiday season, retail sales always have a nice little boost associated with that, so we can't get too swooped into that. And then as far as housing numbers are concerned, we continue to talk about interest rates, the impact of interest rates, and what that's doing for new buyers, reoccurring buyers, people who sell their house now and then have to go buy another house. They might be holding on to an interest rate at 3% and then have to go get one at 7%. So we're starting to see all that effects on the markets. This data coming out, I think, is going to be helpful for not only the Fed, but for all of us to get somewhat of a clear path of what the future is going to look like in the next few months. But all this dictates on what is the Fed going to do and when they're going to do it. We're trying to stay ahead of that. We're trying to see if it's priced into the market. But for now, I think it seems like the dust is going to settle, and I think we're going to have somewhat of a pause from the Fed until we get to June.
Any specific sector investors should pay a little bit more closer attention to?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think if you look at the real estate sector, that one has been under a lot of pressure, and I might stay away from that one. But interestingly enough, if you look at the financials, which as we've seen in recent news, the regional banks have a lot of exposure to commercial lending and how that has impacted their stock price. I think the financial sector is one that hasn't enjoyed the rally as much as we've seen in some of the other sectors, right? We've seen it in tech. Energy has been held back due to oil prices and energy prices. So I think financials and energies are the ones that have been lagging behind, and don't be too scared to get back into those financials.
Now, we were talking about the Fed decision. Obviously, that's not until March. It's still over a month away. But what are some of the other big catalysts that we should look out for that could really move the markets?
So there's a couple, right? There's the unknowns, right? And the unknowns, we call it the unknowns, but we know the news cycle and the geopolitical risks that are out there. We've been kind of quiet on what's going on in Ukraine, what's going on in China, what's going on in Taiwan. So those headlines haven't been at the forefront. That doesn't mean that they're somewhere else and they're not coming back. Those are going to come back. So somewhat of, it's not a date on a calendar as we normally look at our economic cycle and our Fed speeches. This is an unknown that will come back into play again. We do have a large rebalance at the end of this month, the MSCI, that's going to help bring more flow, bring more liquidity back into our markets, and I think that might act as a catalyst for larger portfolio managers to buy and sell larger positions in stock. And then again, we're going to continue to watch the Fed speak. Right? We've got Powell who's running that ship there, but then we've got all the other speakers who are out there. And we try to find these words that are they aligned, are they not aligned? So how does that all play out? So I think we're going to keep our eyes on Washington.
A lot to look out for on that front, but since it is Valentine's Day, let's talk about some sectors that you are loving right now.
Listen,
Pun intended, right?
We jump on the boat. I mean, technology has really led the way here. I don't think that we're going to see any significant pullback on that. The issues that we've had with China and tariffs that are associated with that have kind of quieted down. The Amazon news that we've seen of Bezos selling billions of dollars worth of stock hasn't gotten in the way of that stock. It continues to trend in the right direction there. I think technology is going to lead the way, and some of the retailers, I think, as we get more comfortable with the forethought of interest rates coming down, extra spending that people are going to have. I think retail might be one that's going to lag behind for a little while, but then catch up towards the third quarter.
A lot of good insight there. Thank you, Jonathan.
Thank you. Have a great day.
You too. All right, guys, that just about wraps it up. Thank you all so much for watching NYSC TV Live. Make sure to continue to follow us on all of our digital media platforms at NYSC, and we'll see you next time.
Together, we built something truly beautiful in the true iconic notion of what America is all about.
This is our task, this is our mission. We have a clear focus and we have the ability to be agile and innovate.
It takes years of dedication to get us to this milestone. It is all because of you.
Never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. It is the only thing that ever has.
To be a woman leader, it's not so easy, but it's easy if the passion and the love is coming from your heart.
The New York Stock Exchange is the symbol of what America is all about. Potential of capitalism, the potential of an American dream.
The only way you can move a society forward is a true expression of freedom.